Hello everyone, Hisroyalfatness here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are reviewing the brand new Czechoslovakian medium tank, the TVP T5051, which will be released into Blitz on update 7.7. In today's video, I will be discussing the characteristics of this vehicle, its ensuing playstyle, whether or not this vehicle is balanced, because that is debatable depending on the situation, and of course, in true Hisroyalfatness fashion, we'll have the 3 consecutive live gameplay on the RU test server, so it's going to be extremely bizarre matchups probably, but it'll still be a good example of what you can expect from this tank. And in the end, should you go down this line and get this vehicle, after all, that is what you're all here for. So TVP 5051, let's begin by just looking briefly through the statistics. So it has 1,900 hit points, not bad. Its armor is not really existence, 40 millimeters inside of the hull, that's HEable to pretty much any vehicle you'll run against. 302 meters view range, not bad. Camouflage, whatever. 2600 DPM. Now that is a little bit on the low side in terms of DPM for a tier 10 medium, as most tier 10 mediums nowadays, they break the 3000 damage per minute mark, where this 2600 is very low, but it is an autoloader, so it's not necessarily about DPM with this vehicle, but clip potential. And oh boy, this vehicle has good clip potential. Now, it has 4 shells in the magazine with 310 AP alpha damage. That is 1,240 clip potential on its standard rounds. Now, if you take into consideration, it has decent dispersion, decent aim time, and most essentially, a 2-second interclip reload. That is the fastest of any tier 10 clipper. 2 seconds between shells means you can just dump your clip in about 6 seconds. You've dealt 1200 damage and you're out of there. And that is why this tank is going to be so good. Now, in terms of penetration, it's not too bad. 254, 319, and 55. That's running calibrated as 290 base heat pen, I believe, is not the best. So I am running calibrated on this vehicle. Gun stats are okay. It has 8 degrees of gun depression, which is not amazing, but is definitely workable, and it's better than some other vehicles. Talk about you, Soviet tanks. Now, one thing that's surprisingly good about this vehicle is it has very great mobility. So 60 km/h top speed. That's definitely up there with the big boys in terms of top speed for tier 10 mediums. So it is very easily able to get around the map. Decent power to weight ratio of 23, and then of course great traverse and hold traverse as well. So really that's it in terms of statistics. So we know what the vehicle is kind of like, and you can deduce what you want about those stats, but what really matters is what the vehicle is like. But before we jump into that, I will just briefly show you the armor profile. I did go into a training room with TJ, one of my clanmates, just to show you the armor profile. You can see the gun mantlet is actually capable of bouncing on this vehicle, as well as the sides of the turret, and the hatch is indeed a weak spot, so watch out for that. I mean, not a weak spot, it's spaced armor. You actually can't physically pen it. It has trolled some people sometimes, so watch out for the hatch, but for the most part, you're still a giant box that's pretty easy to pen. Now, on the second example, I am showing how the upper front hull is actually an auto bounce angle at a very severe angle. As you can see, we are shooting heat here, and although it appears gray, it actually is able to ricochet those 319mm heat rounds, so be cautious of that. If a TVP is really angling the hull, it will still auto bounce on certain occasions, and of course, it can be absolutely ripped apart with HE from both the rear and the sides, something you will also need to watch out for. So in general, what you can expect from this armor profile is the occasional bounce on the gun mantlet or some really weird angle on your hull slash side slash turret side, but don't trust in it, okay? Expect it to be like a leopard hull with a Progetto 65 turret. I think that's the best way to really explain it. So you're not going to bounce a ton, but it may bounce some if you're lucky. Just don't trust in that armor. So if the armor isn't great, then why is this tank so good? It is the mobility combined with the clip potential of this vehicle. It has, gosh, one of the most killer clipping potentials in the game, as I've already stated. And one thing a lot of people really forget to mention is that this vehicle has 420 base alpha HE rounds. So think about it, 420 HE rounds. That is over 1,600 clip potential for high explosive. Think about vehicles like a Waffenträger. For instance, this example I'm going to put up on the screen right now. Full HP Waffenträger, And you can almost always one clip these vehicles out, and I've done it on a lot of occasions. I went to a training room, we one clipped them out a lot of times. And something you also need to take into consideration in terms of the clipping potential of this vehicle is actually the crew skill some players may be running. Now, as this press account came with no crew skills, it's not going to look the best, but on the live server, if people have the maxed out light tank crew skill, that means if you hit 3 consecutive shells, your 4th shell has a 35% of chance of max rolling. Now, why that is so important for the TVP is you have 4 shells in the clip, so you hit your first 3 shots, and then let's say you're shooting high explosive at a grill and you max roll your 4th shot. That's 525 damage for that final shell, and that is what makes this clip so deadly. That's why when you're running this tank, quite often, even though you have about 1240 alpha, you're going to break over 1300 damage with a single clip. It is extremely deadly, and the speed at which you can launch those shells is insane, like 6 seconds for 1200 damage. So the gun is what this tank is all about, but it is not the only thing that this tank is about, because as I've mentioned, it has great mobility. And so how that plays into the vehicle is, unlike something like a T57, a Kranwagen, even a 4005, this tank is fast, it has good traverse speeds, it is nimble, it can dump a clip and get out of there, and that's why it's going to be such a deadly vehicle. Now, the question remaining is this vehicle balanced? Well, I would say in some scenarios it is very much balanced, and in other scenarios it can be extremely broken. So let me break down those scenarios. So let's say, for example, you're a TVP and you get a map like Fort Despair. That is going to be a tough matchup for you. If you're trying to fight heavies frontally and stuff like that, you're not going to do very well unless you're extremely precautious. So it has a bit of a cautious playstyle that you need to consider in a lot of situations. But if you get those big open maps, you can be much more flexible, but I still don't think that's going to make the tank broken. So I did mention that the tank could be broken. Well, what makes this vehicle potentially broken? Straightforward, you're running them in a platoon. Any capable platoon of double TVPs is going to do about 2500 clip damage in 6 seconds combined. Think about it. That clips out every single tier 10 tank destroyer, every single tier 9 medium tank, every single tier 9 in the game pretty much, and about half of the tier 10 heavy tanks. 2 of these vehicles in a platoon can just sweep a tank just like that. And for example, I'm going to show you some live gameplay when I was platooning with TJ, and as you can see, this TVP right here, he gets spotted, he runs into both of us, and just like that, he is dead. I mean, he just disappeared in about 7 seconds. A full health tier 10 medium tank that ran into us. And that's not the only example. For example, we have this replay clip here, which shows a Progetto 65 that we found isolated, and we just dumped onto him, and we're going to put 3 shells into him, and TJ will finish him off. And once again, he is just like that, dead. That is why this tank can be broken, because any competent platoon of these vehicles can just obliterate every single vehicle they run against pretty much. Now, it can be broken. I don't think that means it is broken, because you still have a 22-second base clip reload, in which case you guys are on the exposure for a while and need to get safe. But I can definitely see it being problematic. I think in the first couple of months of this tank being released, there's going to be a lot of double TVP platoons. There's going to be a lot of rage, I'm sure, as well. So definitely be aware of that. But overall, I think the tank is relatively balanced. So let's discuss now the kind of playstyle of this vehicle. So what is going to be the playstyle? The playstyle is very simple. Do not take shots. Let your teammates take the shots, dump your clip, and pull back. Use the mobility if you need to get around, dump a clip, and pull back. One thing I must absolutely clarify is to not get super isolated. You do not want to get pushed on by 2 vehicles. The moment you dump your clip and you're reloading for 20 seconds and that 62A with 3400 DPM rolls around the corner, yeah, you're going to get ripped apart very, very quickly. So you need to have good map awareness with this vehicle. Good map awareness, good ideas on how to position your vehicle, and it is essential that you just let your team take the hits if you need to, because you don't want to go out and take shots, right? And there is something called autoloader syndrome, where you're like, I gotta dump my whole clip, and you're going to take like 3 shots in return. Well, did you really win on that trade? Not necessarily. So you need to make the intelligent trades in this vehicle. You definitely need to use that mobility, and most importantly, make sure you have support. Do not get isolated. I cannot clarify that enough. Actually, I'm actually going to pull up a clip right now. This is a tier 10 TVP, and I was just trying the Skoda T50, the tier 9 variant, and he's going to get himself isolated from his team, and we're just going to dump 1 clip into him in an intelligent manner. So we were actually able to outclip him there for the moment. And since he pushed in by himself without support, and since the tier 9 actually has a much faster clip reload at 16 seconds, we were easily able to beat him before he could even reload his second clip. He is just not able to survive that conflict, and that is the tier 9 versus the tier 10. And that is what I want to tell you. Do not get yourself isolated into those DPM fights. This is not a brawling vehicle. You do not want to do that. All right, so we kind of have an idea of the playstyle. We know what this tank is like, we know what its strengths and weaknesses are, so why don't we put that all into action and show it to you through some consecutive live games. Of course, 3. This is the RU2's test server, so teams are going to be wonky. I'm just going to say that right now. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right on into the live gameplay. Alright, so here we are. We are on Middleburg. It is a 3 versus 3 matchup. We have double TVPs, and the enemy team, well, they have an STB, Progetto, and a Batchat. So they do have more mediums than us, so we will need to be precautious of that in terms of the lineup. But as long as we work together, we should be fine. Now, okay, well, I'm not too sure about our TVP, but hopefully the i7 will head on up towards the hill to give us the support we need. As for me, I'm going to take it easy for now and just try and spot up who is going where. We can see there's the Batchat, there's a Progetto, and there is the STB. So now we know where the entirety of the enemy team is. And looking at this lineup, the Batchat is isolated and he's pushing in on the outside. It's going to be my goal to clip out this Batchat, and you're going to see just how potentially deadly a clip like this can be. Now, it looks like the Batchat is just YOLOing in, so we're going to put one HE into his tank. We're going to put a second HE into his tank, catching him on fire. We're going to put a third HE into his tank, hopefully not quite able to pen that one, and we do manage to get another HE in. So you can see we just ripped apart that Batchat so quickly. Now, my goal here is to stay alive, and hopefully our IS-7 will give us the support we need here. I need to wait to figure out what tank's going to be lowest, which tank will be easiest for us to kill coming in soon. I think this Progetto will be my primary target here. He is the most dangerous of the bunch. He is also the lowest on hit points, so I'm going to chase this Progetto around and just try and clip him out to the best of my ability. It's 2 shots. Now, if I get the HE, I'll be able to clip him out with another shell. And you can see how killer the high explosive ammunition is on this vehicle. Easily doing 1400 damage there. We've dealt almost 3000 damage this battle, and my new goal here is to try and keep this STB from circle of deathing our IS-7, because I need our IS-7 to at least take 2 more hits for me to be secure here. And there we go. The STB does take a really nasty shot there, and he is now pushing back in towards the IS-7, which is good for me because that means he's going to be stuck around this corner, and I should be able to easily clip him. So we're going to put 1 shell in. We're going to put 2 shots into him. I'm going to put a 3rd shell in, and picking up the final kill for almost 4000 damage dealt. So considering the lineup was very light, that was a great game. Now, I did mess up an HE shot here and there, but you can see the killer potential of this vehicle. Now, what I did there, I must clarify, is I let the IS-7 take all of the hits. I did not want to sit in front of the enemy team, and that's what you're going to want to do with the TVP, especially on the regular server, is don't get isolated and YOLO'd by the enemy team. You do not have the damage per minute, right? 2600 DPM is not going to be great. And the entire purpose of this tank is you dump clips into the tanks that are not expecting or paying attention to you. So the Batchat was distracted, dumped an easy clip into him. Progetto chased him around while he was distracted, easy clip. And that is what the whole playstyle of this vehicle is going to be like. So for the second game here, we are on Alpenstadt. Now it is a 2 versus 3 lineup, so we are at a rather significant disadvantage here. And once again, I'm not going to be the aggressor of this match. I'm going to take it easy, and we're going to figure out how we can do well here without losing all of our hit points, but most importantly, I need to work with this Progetto. Of course, this is not going to be a realistic expectation of what you can expect on the actual live servers, but for now, I'm just going to wait it out. Now, unfortunately, our Progetto is losing a lot of hit points. What we need to do is bait the enemy team into us and then clip the first vehicle that is overexposed together and just pick up that kill, because easily me and this Progetto can clip any target that pushes onto us. But what I need to do for now is kind of take it easy. I don't want to overcommit and get either of us killed at the moment, so I will be the one to take shots for this Progetto if necessary. So we get 1 shot into the TVP, and you can see this TVP has over-aggressed here. We're going to put a 2nd shot into him. Looks like he is actually lagged out, and we do manage to pick up a kill on him. Unlucky there. But we did manage to pick up a kill on him. So where are those other two vehicles at? They still have a TVP and an Object 140, and the Object 140 is below us. So I'm going to be the one to take the shots here. I'm going to wait to see, does our Progetto have a full clip? He does indeed. And my goal here is just to clip out this Object 140. So we're going to put one shot into his tracks. We're going to put a second shot into him. We're going to pop a third shot into him, catching him on fire there. And we're going to pop a fourth shot into him. And you can see, just like that, we took off 14 to 1500 HP off of that Object 140. And that's where this tank is killer. And I played this game very patiently. That's what you're gonna have to do. Once again, I hope to show through all these games is I'm not just rushing in and saying, yeah, let's just farm damage. No, I'm taking it easy and waiting for the opportunity to put a good clip in. And then once that occurs, we can easily win these games. So one shot into this TVP. We're gonna put another shot into his tracks here. We're gonna put a third shell into his tracks here. He is shooting high explosive at me, and you can see this tank is very easy to shoot high explosive at. We're gonna put high explosive into his side for 390, and he has just started the process of clipping out. Now, as I shot him way before he shot at me, that means I definitely will out reload his clip here, but it doesn't matter. Our Progetto should be able to easily pick up a kill on this TVP before he pulls around the corner, and he does just that. So excellent game. I think we did probably close to 3,000 or so damage again. And yeah, so 3,700 damage. Once more, doing very well considering the very few tanks we're facing in these games. I think we're doing an exceptional amount of damage, which should be representative of what you will expect on the live servers. So let's finish it off with a bang. Last game, Yukon. It is once again a 3 versus 3 matchup. The enemy team has a Vickers of 121 and an AMX 50B. Now we have double TVPs and an E100. I think our TVP is making the right decision here and supporting our E100. We don't want to get isolated from him, especially in these very low numbered matchups. So I'm going to be pushing right here. Now I'm not going to overcommit by myself in case the enemy team send tanks to A, but it's more likely they would send tanks D than A, at least in general. Now this is the test server. Anything can happen. Now at the moment, no one has hopped onto B, which tells me they are pushing pretty aggressively down low. And you can see the 121 is overexposed here, and here is my opportunity to just get behind this 121 and clip him out. He is in the open, so we're going to put one shot into this 121, and we should with ease be able to just clip him out here. And we managed to pick up a kill onto this 121 and hopefully maxwell the HE here. Not quite, but we get an HE as well into the 50B, and that is over 1,200 damage dealt with a single clip. Now this 50B is going to go down very quickly, so I'm just going to allocate my attention towards this Vickers Light, who is pushing in behind us, as he is isolated and he is pushing in. So I want to farm that damage if at all possible. So we're just going to YOLO this Vickers Light and hopefully get some HE into his vehicle. So we're going to put one HE in, only hit him for 150 sadly. And I mean, it is a full speed Vickers, so hitting HE, even hitting the shots, is a little risky. We're going to put another shot into this Vickers, and we missed our third shell. Okay, so the Vickers is now on 900 hit points, and he's just getting chased around by the TVPs here. And yeah, that's going to be pretty much a game over for him. He's going to take 2 more shots, and that is our TVP. How review video, I guess. It's not really how to play. Oh, nice. Ram kill. Excellent. All right, so that is going to be it for today's video. I hope this was informative on what you should anticipate when the TVP is released. Once again, I am absolutely going to clarify that what you must do when you're playing this tank on the live server is be very precautious of positioning. This tank is going to be all about positioning and dumping your clip, using your teammates as the meat shields, okay? Let them take the shots, flank if you must, but do not get isolated in this tank. And if you do that, you should do pretty well. I mean, 3 clips is easily 3,600 damage. So averaging damage in this thing should not be too difficult as long as you have the patient mindset and the ability to look at yourself appropriately. So please feel free, everyone, to like this video and subscribe for more content to come. Please, oh gosh, messed up the outro there. Sorry. Okay. Try again. All right. Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. You guys are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.